Good morning. Welcome to another episode of The Conversation here on TOSTV Network. It's quite a rainy day here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. A perfect usher into the weekend. I mean, that's personal for me. My name is Ade Suwelsi, and of course, today on The Conversation, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, are talking about at this point, especially people who are falling victims of, the conversation. So we're talking about Ponzi schemes or pyramid investment platforms. How, despite the FCC's effort to flush, this platform out of Nigeria and then in EFCC effort, and despite a lot of Nigerians falling victims, we still have more and more Nigerians continually fall victims of Ponzi scheme. Just ignoring red flags, and begs the question of how and why is that still happening. And to join me in having a conversation here in the studio is Ayeyomi Olaitan Ayo, a public affairs analyst and a social commentator. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Adisa. Thank you for having me.
Let's get straight to it. So in the last 5 years, according to the EFCC, Nigerians have lost about 300 billion naira to investment platforms. Some persons have lost their source of livelihoods. Some persons have even committed suicide over, the Ponzi schemes. But we still have lots and lots of Nigerians fall victim. I think the latest is this 86FB investment platform. I think it's a football investment platform that crashed with a lot of Nigerians losing monies to it. What would you say is the reason that despite all of these red flags, Nigerians ignore red flags and still go ahead and put their monies in Ponzi schemes?
Okay, thank you very much once again. But let's start with the personal issue. Personally, it's greed.
Greed?
Yes, greed.
Okay.
Greed in the sense that it's not just because people get into it, but after getting into it and it crashes, the same set of people get involved in another one when it comes.
Yeah.
So it just spells something to you that it's greed. Greed in the sense that, when MMM came that time,
yes,
MMM and all of that, it was so catchy.
Yeah.
And so some people felt like, okay, we know this thing is going to crash eventually, but let's get into it as the first set of people. Let's make a whole lot of money from it before it crashes. But then Ponzi schemes don't tell you when they will crash. They just crash when they want to crash.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But the point there is people want to get into it. Okay, let me get involved before it crashes. And when they get involved, after a while, they get some money. That greed is like, okay, next week.
Let me just put it in.
Next week, you understand?
Yeah.
Next week comes, they get some money and they're like, okay, next week. So they keep putting in much money, getting a little. The more they put, the more their hopes are of getting much more. And then, it crashes and that's all of it. That's on a personal level.
Okay.
On a social or an economic level, the economic challenges people are going through in the country forces a lot of people to get involved in several of these get-quick-rich syndromes. Many times they don't even understand it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the idea is always too good to not be true.
Yes.
So because of that, I want to make money. I'm tired of this economic hardship. I've tried this. There's no employment. There's no that. So if somebody can tell me I can put 1,000 naira a year, and by miracle, because it has to be a miracle most times, in 5 days I'm getting more. People, that urge to meet up with the economic speed.
Do it, and then they actually make money from
exactly. It. So there's always, what these Ponzi schemes do is they just get a few people, use them as testimonials. Yeah. So people just, this person made so money from it. I can. And then they don't learn. You get the point? They don't learn. They just, what people pick out of this thing is the notion of how people made money, not how it crashed. So there's always like, okay, this Ponzi schemes, if I quickly get into it at the start, I can make a whole lot of money from the beginning. Before it crashes, I've made all of it. But it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
And that's why people would keep getting involved. So the whole bulk of curbing this thing, I think, has to come from the government. Because if you can't stop people from getting involved, the best way is to even stop it from happening.
Okay, but the thing is, it's actually interesting that you mentioned the whole psychological biases, the greed, and then the economic effect. But another thing that on a personal level, I thought would be maybe a reason why somebody, despite saying the downside to having to invest in Ponzi schemes, still go ahead and put all of their monies in it, is maybe poor investment knowledge. Do you think Nigerians have very, very, because somebody can, if you have good investment knowledge, you would know that there's no investment that will give you 100% return in a few days, right? You would know that it's just fallacy. So do you think that's one reason why Nigerians actually put their money in it?
Yes, it's not even just one reason. I think it's a major reason, that poor investment knowledge. Even the best investment setup don't offer you, no, let's not even say 100, they don't even offer you 30 to 50% in a year.
Yeah.
The best they do is 7 to 12, at
Yeah.
most 15.
Yeah.
And even at that 15, there's a risk. The risk involved is high, and you're always presented with those risks even before you get into it. But then you have people get into an investment fund that say, okay, in 5 days, in 1 week, in a month, I'm going to be giving you 50 or 30%
Yeah.
returns. And you jump at it. The reason why people jump at it is because they have poor investment knowledge. That's just the truth. The poor investment knowledge, because if you're someone like me, you're not going to walk up to me, no matter how good looking the investment proposal looks like. I already have the knowledge that even the best investment setups won't offer me this in that short, even in a longer time, talk more of a short time. So, but then how many people have this knowledge?
Okay.
No, it's not enough to be literate. You have to be literate in specific contexts,
Yes.
else you'll be victims of the things that come out from this context.
Yes.
So yes, quite a number of people just know it's good to invest, but they don't know how to invest.
Yeah.
They don't know where to invest. They don't know what to get from their investment. They don't know the risk that comes with their investment. All they just know is, I'm giving you this amount of money. Most times, they don't even know what the people they give their money to use the money to do.
Yeah.
Do you understand? My point is, I'm just giving you my money, and after a period of time, you're giving me my interest and all of that and stuff like that. So most times, it might not even, like, maybe it might not really be great. It might just be that absence of that vast knowledge to curtail that investment. So yes.
Okay. Do you think Nigeria is some sort of target market for these people? Because maybe because they know Nigerians are high risk takers or high risk investors or something like that. So it's probably like a target, and then the population too. So
Yes.
do you think it's actually a target market?
Yes, I think I read somewhere at the point where somebody said that if anything that gets to Nigeria sells, good or bad, it sells. Look at our response to a thing like cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to the use of social media, look at our response. Yeah. So because we have this large population that it's an extreme end. The people that are extremely intelligent, the people that are intelligent are extremely intelligent. And the people that may not so be are on the very, very far left.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so you can exploit these extremes. You can exploit them for the good or for the bad.
Yeah.
So that's why Nigeria is truly a target market, because look at MMM, it's not of a Nigerian origin.
Yes.
Do you understand?
A lot of them aren't.
Yes,
actually.
they aren't.
Yeah.
So they just find Nigeria because we have so much of a gullible population, so much of a population that always want to earn before they learn. They learn on the job. Do you get?
Yeah.
They learn on the go. And most times, this investment channel may not give you that leverage, that opportunity to learn so much before you lose so much.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I think, yes, they see us as a target audience. They try to exploit our naivety. They try to exploit our economical challenge. They try to exploit that. I just want to make it real quick. And most times, even people that get involved in this thing do so naively. They're not bad people. They just feel like, okay, I don't want to do something wrong to get money. So if I'm getting something like this, obviously, I'm not doing anything. Let me get into it. Yeah. So that poor knowledge, alongside that, just these people that bring these things try to exploit our extremes, and it's painful. Okay. It's challenging.
Earlier on, you mentioned that the government has a lot to do in checkmating this trend to ensure that Nigerians don't keep losing their monies and all of that. I don't know that. I think it was recently the EFCC said that they are arresting, I think, about 10 Ponzi investment platforms and all of that. And I don't know the FCC is also doing something in line with that. But how else do you think that this trend can be checkmated, maybe both by individuals and also by the government, to ensure that we don't keep having victims of these schemes?
Adisa, the thing about this thing is that communication is only good to the degree of comprehension. Now, what most times these people do is they communicate to the light, to the educated ones. They communicate to us. Now, if I get a circular from maybe the SEC that is stating that this, and this, and that, most times those things are always grammatically fluffy. Now, because of some level of exposure, I can make sense out of it. But how do you explain that to an average man? So I think one way we need to do this thing is most times to understand the diversities of our comprehension. Do you understand? How well I will understand something is different. If an average person or let's say a not so educated person picks some of all these publications of these people, you will get uninterested because from the first line you cannot understand it. And that's why people get. Then another thing is, instead of totally banning, there should be some regulations. Do you understand? When you regulate things, you create a middle ground. You help, because our challenge in this country is not always the educated, it's not always the exposed, it's the uneducated, the unexposed people, and these are the people that make the forefront in all of these things. And I don't mean exposure, I don't just mean, or being educated, I don't just mean going to school. I mean having an holistic knowledge of your country, of a place, or of basic things. Exactly. So if the government is going to regulate this thing, they should communicate, as in there should be diversity in communication.
So you think the National Orientation Agency isn't doing its job?
Not so much. I can tell you that there's so many people that don't even know there's an existence of such agency. That's how bad it gets. When you communicate to people at grassroots level, you'll be so shocked. But what you would understand is that these people are highly disconnected from reality, highly disconnected. So we have to find a way to take this knowledge to the grassroots.
People that actually need them.
You get the point. Most times we communicate this knowledge to people that know them. You get the point. Like, okay, for example, of cryptocurrency and all of those regulations and stuff like that. The way I would know cryptocurrency is different from somebody on the street. And most times, those people on the street, what you just need to tell them is, you know what, just bring 5,000 Naira. I'll put it somewhere, and you'll get 100,000. They are so fascinated, and then they get involved. You get? But if they are exposed, like somebody is bringing some level of orientation to them at their level, maybe in the language that they understand, do you understand? In a manner with which they understand, it will really help in...
Okay. Lastly, before I actually let you go, because we're wrapping up in a bit, have you ever lost money to Ponzi scheme? Or maybe like a bad investment?
Actually, I've not.
So you've never done that?
I've not.
So your money has never gone into it?
I've not gotten involved in a Ponzi scheme.
So you're one of the less greedy Nigerians that we have.
As interesting as MMM was that time, I really am this kind of person that it takes a lot to convince me, actually. It takes a lot.
I see. Well, I've never lost money too, but luckily, So I think it's just basically understanding how it works, and then the orientation
on the part of the people, getting more investment knowledge before you get into any form of investment, and being less greedy. Do you understand? Because greed is even what will make you want to even get into some. Then on the part of the government, I think they should find a way of communicating, so much so that an average man, everybody might not be able to understand, but an average man should be able to understand the communication so as to at least inform them, make them make informed decisions.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with me.
Thank you very much, Adesa.
It was such a pleasure to have you. Thank you. And thank you for staying with me on the conversation this morning. I hope you do not, for the life of me, put your money, in such platforms and all of that. If you work hard for your money, you wouldn't want to, just throw it away and lose it. Thank you so much for joining me on the conversation. Do not forget that the conversation comes to you every weekday. That's Mondays to Fridays, 10 a.m. On the same channel. But before then, follow us across all social media platforms. That's TOSTV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The channel to subscribe to on YouTube is TOSTV Network. And of course, stream our website, www.tostvnetwork.com, for news, stories, and happenings from across the world. My name is Adesa Welsi. Thank you, and please have a very restful weekend and a wonderful Eid celebration.